Politics has always been a blood sport between competitors, but rarely has the sword of that sport been aimed at other than a political opponent. Andrew Cuomo, however, has turned his sword in that blood sport against our parents and grandparents in the outrageous nursing home scandal unfolding before our very eyes. This week, Cuomo's right hand, his most trusted aide, his closest confidant, Melissa DeRosa, confessed in a phone call to Democrat politicians that the Cuomo administration withheld the true and real number of nursing home deaths because they were afraid federal prosecutors would find out. The truth, you see, was twice as bad as they said it was. That stunning, cold-hearted admission is relevant, admissible evidence in a court of law. It shows consciousness of guilt, an intent to cover up the truth, and a conspiracy to deny the number of COVID deaths in nursing homes by a self-promoting, self-worshiping, self-absorbed politician. Those numbers were sought by the New York State Legislature, the Associated Press, victims' families, and the public at large. The pathetic, disgusting part of all of this is that DeRosa, on Cuomo's behalf, apologized to her Democrat compadres in the legislature for the political inconvenience their cover-up caused. No apology to the New York State Legislature, the press, or the victims' families. Like Fox's own Janice Dean, who for months desperately tried to find out what happened to her mother and father-in-law before they died in a nursing home. Cuomo's spokesperson at the time both demeaned and belittled Janice as an expert in nothing except maybe the weather. So DeRosa's apology was for the political inconvenience to the Democrats and not to the families of those who died as a result of the merciless, calculated forcing of COVID-infected patients into nursing homes. There was no claim of error in judgment. The Cuomo cabal literally cooked the books. You see, Andrew Cuomo is a bully. A bully not only to those he sees as a threat politically, but to the little people for whom he has zero allegiance. So what's the problem here? If everything is on the up and up, why hide, lie, cover up or obfuscate the truth? The March 25th Cuomo order mandated COVID-infected patients be returned to nursing homes not prepared or ready for them. Certainly, unequivocally, a death sentence for those innocent seniors living out their final months and years in an allegedly protected environment. His mandate was a death sentence to all the elderly in the homes, which he and everyone knew to be the case at the time. After all, he did listen to the science. So why'd he do it? Why would, with the signing of his name, pass death upon innocent seniors simply trying to live out their final months or years? Even he admitted it was like setting fire to dry grass. Now, as a prosecutor and judge, your job is not to prove motive, but good old-fashioned greed and power remain powerful motives. Cuomo, the ultimate calculating politician, knew by returning COVID-infected seniors to nursing homes that the spread of the virus was both inevitable and foreseeable, and he weighed the pros and the cons and decided to promote himself and punish the victims. Consider this. One of Cuomo's biggest financial contributors are the healthcare industry and lobbyists. You see, if Medicaid and Medicare patients are filling up a hospital, then how's that hospital going to make money? To make money, they need beds filled with patients who have real insurance and real money. So get the Medicaid and Medicare patients out. And so the governor, balancing his image against the death of seniors, dumped still infected patients on unprepared nursing homes with innocent victims. Thereafter, Cuomo quietly tried to shield hospital and nursing home executives from lawsuits from the outbreak. This was corrupt criminal behavior by a tyrant who constantly rebuffed requests for the truth and the real numbers. Folks, we're not talking about a poll here where you lie about your favorability ratings. We're talking about a man hiding deaths. He hid it because he knew he was responsible. He knew why he did it. He knew for whom he did it and why it was his fault. And so began the PR push, the ridiculous, pathetic book on leadership, the fawning left complimenting him on his press conferences where he and his brother Fredo fought for the limelight and where he gushed over those who adored him, while he trashed and blamed the president, old age, and even God for the death of those seniors. The New York Attorney General can be commended for outing the lies that Cuomo was so eager to spread to make himself look good over governors like Ron DeSantis of Florida, who actually were doing a great job. Cuomo now has to live with the fact that 3 out of every 100 New Yorkers who have had COVID have died. The governor he's jealous of in Florida had a COVID-positive death rate of almost half that. And while Florida has the second largest senior population in the country, all the while Cuomo trying to promote himself as a presidential candidate and a great leader. He was, in truth, a horrible leader with a horrible record, a liar and a crook. New York Attorney General Letitia James now needs to direct her Deputy Attorney General to begin a grand jury investigation and simply follow the hospital money and the contributions that have supported Cuomo throughout his political career, and especially in his last campaign. His intent to cover up a conspiracy at the highest level of New York government is clear. His blaming of others is consciousness of guilt as well. But 2 weeks ago, when the case was simply circumstantial, I identified potential charges. Now the case is even stronger with direct evidence. Take a look. Manslaughter in the second degree, penal law violation 125-15, when you recklessly cause the death of another person. Criminally negligent homicide, New York Penal Law 125-10, when a person causes the death of a human being in a way that was careless, reckless, or inattentive, and endangering the welfare of an elderly person, Penal Law Section 260-34, when one knowingly acts in a manner likely to be injurious to the physical welfare of a person unable to care for himself. This investigation will be fraught with political dangers. Even the New York Times says Andrew Cuomo has a history of defrauding federal taxpayers over New York's Medicaid reimbursement debacle. And the visit to the White House yesterday sent a bad symbolic message that the Biden administration has Cuomo's back. In fact, this is what President Biden thinks of him.
I think he's sort of the gold standard.
I think he's doing a hell of a job. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's briefings are a lesson in leadership.
Should the feds take up this case, Cuomo crony DeRosa's mother-in-law, Audrey Strauss, is the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York who could prosecute this case. Her father and brother are lobbyists who are extremely well-connected in Albany. Cuomo was a conspirator who, by his mandate, caused the deaths of thousands of senior citizens. The New York State legislature must immediately remove his emergency powers as it relates to this pandemic, because under his leadership, Cuomo continues to fail, and he doesn't have the backbone as a leader to admit exactly what he's doing. He is a liar. He can no longer be trusted with the sacred duty of running our state. Now, both New York State and the feds must begin an investigation into his greedy intent, his reckless behavior, his criminal negligence that brought innocent New Yorkers to death's door. They were alone, lost, unaware of what was happening, unattended to, and then shipped out of the nursing homes to the hospitals so they wouldn't die in the nursing home. The stories of ambulance workers taking our elderly loved ones out of those homes who had no idea where they were going, who hadn't seen or touched a family member for months, To be brought to a hospital where healthcare workers were dressed in virtual hazmat suits and simply left to die is one of the sickest things that any politician has ever done. Politicians have gone to jail for far less. These are human lives, broken hearts, and a ripple effect of his cold-blooded, calculated decision to put fame and power above humanity. This despicable, inhumane act should and must be Andrew Cuomo's last act in public life.